Welcome to Breaking Friction. Right now, the mathematical layers protecting the modern internet are approaching a structural expiration date. Experts call this impending milestone Q-Day, the point when a cryptographically relevant quantum computer becomes powerful enough to break the RSA and elliptic-curve mathematics used to secure public key encryption. But the risk is already active through a strategy known as harvest now, decrypt later. Adversaries are intercepting and storing encrypted data today, building a massive archive to be processed once quantum decryption becomes operationally viable. This creates an irreversible vulnerability. Once sensitive information is captured and stored in a remote repository, it cannot be unharvested or retroactively protected. Because the confidentiality of government records or medical data often needs to last for decades, the arrival of a quantum adversary is a present-day crisis rather than a future one. To see how this threat model scales, we have to look at the cryptocurrency market and the specific mechanics of distributed ledger networks. Research published by the Federal Reserve warns that these networks face a unique privacy gap because of how they handle data integrity. This is known as the public ledger paradox. In a traditional system, a harvester has to actively intercept a private transmission, but blockchain replicas are public records designed to be downloaded by anyone at any time. An adversary can collect the entire transaction history of a network like Bitcoin without ever alerting the network's maintainers or bypassing a single firewall. The transparency that makes a blockchain trustworthy also makes it a high-efficiency target for state-sponsored data harvesting programs. In response, the industry is shifting toward post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, to secure future transactions and digital signatures. However, PQC is not a time machine. It can shield a transaction made tomorrow, but it cannot reach back to protect the billions of transactions already recorded on a public ledger using vulnerable classical math. When Q-Day arrives, the private keys of harvested wallets can be recalculated from their public records, revealing anonymous identities and transaction histories that the users assumed were permanently obfuscated. For decentralized ledgers, privacy is currently on a countdown that software upgrades cannot stop. While public ledgers are uniquely easy to harvest, the underlying mathematical risk extends to defense records, intellectual property, and financial data stored across global multi-cloud architectures. To counter this, the National Institute of Standards and Technology has moved to finalize and standardize quantum-resistant algorithms like ML-KEM and ML-DSA. A recent executive order accelerated the federal government's PQC migration deadline to 2030, pulling the target forward by 5 full years to address the urgency of data theft. In the private sector, companies like Cloudflare are already implementing hybrid models to protect current human traffic from being harvested and stored for later decryption. These rapid policy shifts acknowledge that the focus has moved toward limiting the value of the information being stolen today. This framework is known as Mosca's theorem. It estimates cryptographic urgency by comparing the time it takes to upgrade systems, X, and the number of years the data must remain secret, Y, against the estimated arrival of Q-Day, Z. If the time needed to migrate plus the decades a defense record must stay confidential exceeds the arrival of a quantum computer, the information is already at risk. The deadline isn't actually the date the quantum computer is built, it's the moment the secrecy of the data begins to matter. Securing the future requires us to stop the harvest of the present.